If you haven't had an opportunity to watch Banshee's Season 2 finale, Bullets and Tears, stop listening now. Major spoilers, here we go. Before we can even begin to talk about this amazing episode, I have to go to the backstory of Rabbit. And I'll begin with Rabbit's marriage to Anna's mom, okay? You remember when Banshee starts, they have this little sequence, man, where Anna's laying on the side and she says, "Just breathe." Or usually you'll hear "just breathe." You know, those words, they're spoken before the episode airs, man. And I was always wondering, like, what does that mean? What is that all about, you know? Here's where it comes in at, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I love about this show, man. Before Rabbit dies, man, he tells this story about Anna's mother. He says, when he met and married her mother, I couldn't stop shaking. I thought I might pass out. Well, Anna's mom, in response to, I guess, noticing Rabbit's his emotions and his reaction and seeing that he was unstable, Anna's mom says, "Just breathe." And from that moment on, you know, she was the calming mechanism inside of him. But once she died, he says, "Something in me broke when she died." So now we understand, you know, a little bit about this, how do you want to say, this dysfunction, this insanity that is Rabbit, okay? We know that it's passion because he loves his daughter, but we also know that it's like this reckless rage of trying to almost control a situation that he has no control over, you know what I'm saying? And that's just, I guess you could say, who his daughter loves, the decisions his daughter makes, seeking revenge on his daughter. I mean, just, you know, there's many different ways you can kind of take that, but we kind of understand why Rabbit is the way he is, and then you feel this pain for him, man. You feel this pain for him, and tonight it was so crazy, man. It was just, I can't even really describe this episode, man. It started out, the episode starts out, Bullets and Tears. It starts out with the flashback episode, and we get to see Rabbit, Anastasia, Lucas Hood, and Ulrich. And Ulrich is the guy from season 1, who at the end of season 1, you know, as you follow him and see him tracking, he finds Job. Job's the one that, you know, pressed the detonator, and you thought that he killed Ulrich, but Ulrich survived out of the explosion. Then all of a sudden you see Anastasia and Ulrich, they get into this huge fight, and Anastasia's stabbed and almost dies, but then she turns around and she takes this wood and she sticks it in his spine, pretty much just ripping his spine off, snaps his spine in half, and then that's how Ulrich dies. But you get to go back in the past and see this young Ulrich, this young Anastasia. You get to see this young Lucas Hood and this young Rabbit with black hair. And it's just crazy because, you know, they really took their time. You know, the makeup department, the cinematography team, all this stuff came together, and it's so brilliant, man. It looked perfect, man. Like, you actually felt like you were back, like, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years in the past. And most likely you were about maybe 15 to 16, maybe 17 years old, maybe even 18 years in the past because of Dava's age. I think Dava's like 16 or 17 years old in the story, but regardless of that, you get to see their relationship. You get to see how at one point Lucas and Rabbit were really close. Anastasia and Ulrich, you get to see that relationship and kind of understand how almost obsessed Ulrich was with Anastasia. He wanted something from her, as in like a love type interest, but, you know, she didn't want to necessarily give anything back. So she was almost like rejecting him in a sense, okay? You get to see how Ulrich and Lucas Hood were like these buddies, man. Almost like, I guess you can call it like a cop type team, if you will, you know, if you're putting them on a team, like almost like bad boys. They were really good friends, man. They boxed together, they worked out together, they trained together. And then you fast forward in the future after all that stuff happened, and what I mean by stuff is that Lucas Hood went to prison because he turned himself in, trying to lead the police away from Anna because of their love. Well, check this out, man. It turns out that Lucas and Anna really didn't make a mistake. It was, and I'm pretty sure we already knew this, but I mean, they really told you tonight without beyond a shadow of a doubt. Rabbit called the cops on Lucas and Anna. He reported the robbery. They got caught because of that. Everything that Lucas Hood has went through it's not because of Anna. Anna didn't betray him like we all thought, you know what I'm saying? And what we, I guess, kind of assumed because of, how everything was worded in season 1. All of a sudden now we understand, as we get to the end of Rabbit's chapter, as his book closes on his life, all this stuff spills out, man. Rabbit called the cops because, to me, it kind of seemed like Ulrich kind of put a little bit of, planted a little bit of seeds in his ear. But he asks Anastasia, he says, you wouldn't hide anything from me, would you? You wouldn't keep something from me now, would you? And then she replies back, no, Daddy, I'd never do that or whatever. And he just looks at her like, I know that you're lying. And she knows that. So they kind of, show you this scene where Anna and Lucas are laying in the bed together. Anna says, he knows, and Lucas is like, nah, he doesn't know, everything's going to be okay. And then we understand, after that incident, he, allowed them to go on the mission to get the diamonds. And then as they were going to get the diamonds and, they probably called him up and said, hey, we got the diamonds, whatever, we're heading out. He called in the police, called the robbery, and then they got caught. Well, Lucas got caught. All right. Then all of a sudden, man, what happens in the episode, I'm going to kind of bounce around a little bit. I don't want to really necessarily go in order because, let's just be honest, it's going to be sad. Because tonight's episode was sad, man. I'm not going to lie. It was one of the saddest episodes I've ever watched on television, to be honest, because you care about these characters and then so many of them pass away tonight. It was just crazy, man. Oh my gosh. All right, let's stay focused. Let me kind of read some of my favorite quotes from Rabbit. All right, and these quotes, man, kind of put everything together and kind of show you how Rabbit is, man. I don't think he necessarily, wanted his life to end. I don't think he necessarily wanted the situation between him and Anna to end like this. But check this out, man. He says, "I'm sorry, Anastasia. I hope in death I can give you some of the peace I stole from you in life." That was my, Russian accent or, whatever. But he says, "I'm sorry, Anastasia. I hope in death I can give you some of the peace I stole from you in life." And check this out, man. They find Rabbit sitting on this bench behind the church of his brother, Ulrich. And, Ulrich. And, Anna and Lucas, they walk to the back of the church with their guns ablazing. Anna has the gun in front of Rabbit's face, and the first thing I thought, I was like, man, this is it. This is the end, man. And I kind of get nervous a little bit. I don't really know how to react because from the beginning of this episode tonight, the finale, until the point that you see Rabbit again, you kind of side with Rabbit because he's not that bad of a guy, It was almost as if his hands were tied, man. That he couldn't do any other thing. He couldn't react any other way. He loves his daughter. He loves his family, and it seemed as if they betrayed him. And now that the last little bit of how do you want to say it, control, or the last thing that kind of calms his life down was his daughter, who came from, his wife, who is now dead. And all he wants to be able to do is to be calm and rational, but he can't react that way because his calming mechanism has been taken away from him and he's been deceived. It wasn't because, oh my gosh, he had a problem with Anna loving Lucas. No, it was because she lied to him. And then all of a sudden, Anna, she sits down on the bench. Rabbit tells Anna the story about when he married his mother, right in the same area, just in the back of this church where he's about to die at. Then after that, he says that, I'm sorry, Anastasia. I hope that in death, man, I can give you some peace, give you some of the peace I stole from you in life. Anna takes the gun. She empties out the clips, okay? She empties out the bullets from the clip. She places one bullet back into the clip, places the clip back into the gun, you know what I'm saying? Locks and loads it, passes the, check this out, man. She passes the gun to Rabbit. And in response to that quote, I'm sorry, Anastasia, I hope in death I can give you some of the peace I stole from you in life. She says, time will tell. She grabs the side of his head. She kisses his forehead. She says, goodbye, Daddy. And she walks away. I mean, I'm sitting here, man, I don't even really know what to do at this point besides just my jaw is dropped. I'm like, you don't know what to say. All of a sudden, man, Rabbit is left there with Lucas Hood. Okay, Lucas Hood, I guess, is kind of there to make sure that he does the job because Anastasia, she just left. Rabbit looks at Hood. Hood looks at Rabbit. Rabbit says, "You look at me and remember, somewhere in the future, there's a bench just like this one waiting for you." Then Lucas replies, "Go to hell." Rabbit says, "Okay." Puts the pistol to his head and blows his brains out, man. And he's dead. He's gone, man. His body goes limp on the bench, and then that's it, man. It's like, I mean, seriously, like, it was almost like you're reading a book. You close the book up, the chapter's done, it's over, the ending, man. And I don't really know how to feel about that, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think it's justice, I really do, but I think that, oh my gosh, man, like, going forward, man, there has to be a price to pay, man, for this. And here, and I'll get to that a little later on, because inside Banshee, what is so beautiful about the story is that every single action has a reaction, okay? And every single, every single act of justice, what we perceive as justice or think is justice, whether it's violent, whether it's justified, it has a reaction, man. And there are consequences to you deciding what justice is, man. I can't even really explain it or say anything more than that, because what happens next in the story is it's so troubling, man. Like, I have a hard time, even talking about this next thing, man. And before I go there, I'm going to end this clip. I'm going to end this podcast, man. We'll come back. We'll start talking about it a little bit more. But there's a lot of stuff to talk about. But I don't want to go over the time, man. We'll be right back, man.